Advocacy and Consulting, also known as DAC, is your trusted partner in legal solutions. From business law to civil rights, DAC is here to tackle all your legal needs. With specialized services in employment law, trust and estates, education, medical malpractice, and civil rights, DAC is here to be your trusted advisor. Let DAC guide you through the complexities of the legal system and secure the outcomes you deserve. Contact Davis Advocacy and Consulting today for reliable and tailored legal support. The website is calldac.com. Again, their website, calldac.com. Davis Advocacy and Consulting, turning advocacy into empowerment. And welcome to the Soma Talks podcast, sponsored by Elevated by the Cannon Boss Lady Dispensary, Coda Kitchen, Davis Advocacy and Consulting, and Educational Equity Advisors. I'm Lee Navlin, and of course, a huge shout out to my partner, the one and only Donald J. Castillo.
Oh my God. Hi.
How are you today, Ileana?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, I joke around with the Donald J. Trump stuff, but I tell you, I swear to God, I'm reading some of these social media pages, and you would think you were responsible for or Soma Talks was responsible for Trump getting elected. They come and they're blaming Soma Talks.
I was surprised to see that they're what was that I read someone send me that they're saying that Soma Talks and Soma Parents are administrated by Republicans.
By MAGA. They're administered by MAGA. That's by the...
Dude.
I don't... They're really... I mean, you know, the country... I mean, all the swing states voted for Castillo. I mean, voted for Trump. I shouldn't say Castillo. But here I know I'm getting you guys confused. But I'm telling you, Ileana, it's so wrong. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, Ileana, I just want you to know that so many people love you, so many people support you, and I want to tell you something. That post that you sent out the day after that horrible incident in Amsterdam, saying this was a safe space for Jewish people, I cannot begin to tell you how that has. I was reading some Jewish sites that are out of the area that cover West Orange and Montclair and whatnot.
How they're dealing with that?
I mean, people are struggling and they don't understand it, but your post actually got that far, and people really do appreciate. The Jewish community really appreciates what you're doing.
Well, it appears that the Jewish community in Soma do not have like a safe space to post online, or either people don't accept their post or block it or shut it off.
Maplewood Moms, from what I'm telling, is not allowing this type of conversation, and I'm reading that from some posters on some of these Jewish sites that said I'm off of Maplewood Moms. I can't believe I tried to post something and it was not, you know, it never made it to the page or whatever. I guess it's got to be accepted. So I don't know what's going on there, Maplewood Moms. You should knock that shit off. Not right.
I feel bad for the Jewish community. It's like you guys get hit every time. Just when you think that things are like calming down and everything, bam, you guys are slammed with another.
That's crazy.
Another news.
It's
like you guys can't get a break.
It's a whole weird thing. But you know what? The Jews will be fine. We are strong people. I know I speak for all the Jewish people in the world. We are strong people. We will survive. But Ileana, today is Veterans Day, changing the subject just a little bit. So I didn't know. I know you're born here, but then you're Dominican Republic, and you came back with all that going on. So I don't know if you understand tradition, the Veterans Day tradition. You kiss a veteran. I didn't know if you know that. So I'm a veteran, actually. So I fought in Vietnam. Yeah, I fought in Nam. And so if you want to kiss me, you know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well.
I didn't know that was a tradition in quotation mark.
Yes, I didn't serve. But to all the men and women that have served this country, thank you from the bottom of our heart for all you guys.
Yeah, there's several veterans here in Maplewood, South Orange.
Yeah, no, and and I'll tell you, my son, he actually works with Vietnam veterans, and they tell the most amazing stories about what it was like. Obviously, not only fighting but coming back to this country when they weren't accepted, and there were some hardships, and you know it wasn't easy. I mean, they were baby killers. I mean, it was all sorts of horrible things that
I cannot imagine the things they've lived and seen. That scar you. That must scar you.
No, it's terrible. Did you ever date a veteran or anybody in the military? A seaman, perhaps?
No. No.
No, nothing like that?
None of that, no.
So in a couple minutes, we have Jeff Bennett coming on. He's running a few minutes late, a very busy man, Jeff. Yeah. So he's going to be on the show in just a few minutes. So we have a few minutes to talk about whatever we want to talk about. So I have an idea. So because we were talking about you online, how you were interested maybe in dating a rich Jewish guy, and we also had it on the podcast. So we talked about maybe the Jewish dating game, right? So we've been actually devising how this game is going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to find 3 extremely wealthy and handsome Jewish men. We're going to bring them in here, and you won't be able to see them, but you'll interview them blindly, like an old dating game show, and then you'll pick one of the wealthy Jewish guys. So are you okay with that?
Funny.
So we're still searching for these wealthy Jewish single guys that.
People are gonna start believing we're serious about this.
So any wealthy Jewish men out there that are interested in participating in finding Ileana a wealthy Jewish man. We are planning to do that game soon. So, but you know what? And I'm telling you, Ileana, we've got to find some other things to do because we're still having issues. You and I getting guests. Right? You know what I mean? I don't know, because maybe the podcast is new.
I think it's time to take a break from the board of it. I think we got the new candidates. They won.
Jeff's coming in to discuss his plans moving forward. We're not talking about yesterday.
Yeah, Jeff is definitely going to be like our last
I think so for a bit. Let them get
for
to
a
work.
while after. Yeah, their last guest for the board of ed. We want to give everybody like a break.
Right, but I still want to get some. And they're all, Dean, yes, and no, and no, and no, and no, and no. And
I don't know. I'm going to put it out there on Soma Talks.
Right. I wanted, Sheena said she was going to come in and talk about the water situation. So we are getting some, but in the meantime, I'd like to, this dating game is something interesting that we can do. We want to bring in some local people. So if anybody has any ideas who you want us to interview, let us know. Now, I know you would mention you want to get John Sarantakis in, but
yeah, John Sarantakis seems to be...
I love the way you say Sarantakis, but
how do you say it?
You say Sarantaki.
And how is it?
I think it's Sarantakis. Yeah. I think,
John, I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
It's like Sarantaki. Like John Sarantaki a lot. Yeah, but we do want to get people in. We're going to get people in if these leaders are afraid of us. Now, look, every leader we've had in here has won an election so far. So how about that, Ileana, right?
Yeah, I'm going to post that out there on Soma Talks and ask some of our listeners, like, which guest you would like to hear. Some people have said which guest they would like. Like, for example, some people have requested Leslie Pogany from Bunnies. They would like to hear from her.
We can get Leslie.
Sheena Collin is a very common one.
Sheena has said she'll come, and she's so busy, and now she had the whole water thing going on, and when it's just,
someone from the Maplewood Township community. It could either be Vic or Dean or Deborah or Malia.
Yep.
Either one of them. I guess someone would, one of them would be nice to have.
I would get Jermaine Kripe on one side and like Michael Goldberg on the other.
We could get Jermaine Kripe
and we just have those guys like kind of.
I don't think she's gonna come, but she's in that other group
I hope she.
Let me see who
I would love it if she just kind of said, I apologize for all that shit because this is not a good time for Jews and whatnot. But
I don't think those people are ever going to apologize for anything. Look what happened with the flyer. None of them have come up and apologized. And Jermaine didn't apologize to the Jewish community about they don't apologize.
No, somebody sent me an email. I got a screenshot from one of the Soma Action folks, the ones that actually went after our sponsors. And I guess I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to mention their title. But they wrote some email or text message or whatever. Not even a text. It was a Facebook post or some bullshit. And she was talking about how horrified she is about what's going on in the Middle East. Her best friend in Ramallah. I mean, it's like she claims her best friend lives in Ramallah. I mean, this is a white chick. You know what I mean? Your best friend in Ramallah. I don't believe you have a best friend in Ramallah. What do you think of that? But I'm just so sick and tired of like this bullshit fucking nonsense where they go ahead and they're trying to accuse the Jews and we stink and the Israelis stink. And I've had it. I've had it with this. And Soma, you know what? Jewish people, we're all stepping up to the plate, led by me and Ileana. You and your future Jewish husband. We will. The three of us, we are going to find a best friend in Ramallah and find out the truth, not this.
I wouldn't be surprised if I end up marrying a Jewish.
You should marry a Jewish guy. My wife will tell you it's great.
From personal experience.
Yeah. She says we're fun. We're
I
excited.
should contact a couple of Jewish ladies. Like, tell me.
No, Paul J. Haley reached out to me today. He would like to come back onto the show.
Oh, he does.
He says he wants to talk a little bit about why he left. Yeah, what maybe the issues were and so. And I don't think so much it was the he couldn't stand the politics. I just monetarily,
But it's okay to have changes. Sometimes people need changes. After you live for 20 or 30 years in a town and your kids already out of the school system, and people want a little bit of change,
Yeah.
downgrade a smaller house or travel, go to another. I'll tell you something. I don't think I'm going to last very much. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy when I say this, but once my kids are out of the school district, I don't think I'm going to stay long in Jersey.
Really?
I'm tired of the
You
cold
would leave,
weather.
You would leave America or go back to Dominican Republic, or will you just find somewhere else to live in the States?
I'll stay here in the United States, but I might go to a warmer state.
We could do the podcast remotely.
But that
I
depends,
guess.
because if I do marry a Jewish guy and he wants to stay up here, maybe I'll just have to reconsider that.
That's right. Yeah.
But if I don't get the Jewish guy, I'm thinking going to a warmer place. I know people always go Florida, but maybe North Carolina, something different.
Well,
I'm tired of the cold. Aren't you tired of the cold weather, or you love the cold weather?
I mean, I don't love the cold weather because we don't have cold weather anymore. It's like 70 degrees right now on Veterans
What's
Day.
wrong with that?
Yeah,
Climate change or something?
Is it climate? I mean, you know what concerns me more is the no raining
I've
thing. That's the
never
thing that's kind of
seen-
got me going like, whoa, this is not like
I've
normal.
never seen November this warm.
No, with no rain, there's wildfires like all over the place. There's a brush fire in Livingston, New Jersey last week. I'm from Livingston. We don't get brush fires in Livingston. That's not something we don't,
During Halloween, it was like summer.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
right.
was sweating under the costume. I was like, what's going on?
No, like I said, when I was a kid at Halloween, you'd buy the costume like a couple weeks before, and you'd look great in the mirror, and then like the Halloween would come, and you have to wear like a winter coat over it, because it'd be like 5 degrees out. You have to unzip your coat. Like, who are you? The guy, hi, I'm Superman. You have to unzip your coat and show them.
Yeah.
But is it? I mean, maybe it probably is, but
Are you thinking you're gonna move out?
nah. You know what?
You're stuck in Jersey already.
Yeah, I used to think when my kid's out of the school, I'm gonna get the hell out of it. But I don't know. Where else would have me? I mean, I'm not.
That's funny. I know
I'm
some
not,
people.
I'm not that normal, and no one in this area is normal, so I fit right in a weird sort of way. Yeah.
It's funny. I know a couple of people that are saying, like, as soon as my son or daughter finish the school district, I'm out. Like, they're out. Like,
Yeah. And, well, look. First off, the taxes are crazy, so that's reason number one. Reason number two is. It's gotten a little too much drama.
It's too much drama. A lot of people are saying that they don't think this town is as inclusive as
No, it's
think it
definitely
is.
it's definitely changed over the last few years. There's been an influx of people that are coming in, and
the Jewish.
they're not
many Jewish people.
as decent and friendly and warm and engaging as some of our older
The
folks.
Jewish people, many Jewish people don't think this is very inclusive.
I'll tell you what, walk down Maplewood Avenue right now and just say hi to people as they're walking by, and you're going to find a lot of people just don't answer you. Like they're going to New York City. Like, hey, how you doing? And like, you can yell, hey, everybody, hey, it used to be a small town. Hey, buddy, hello. Now it's like they kind of they look right through you like you don't exist.
I do feel bad for those that are Republicans or independent in this town, because they're always silent.
There's more than 10%. I'd tell you it's probably 35, 36, maybe even 40% of the people in this area are Republicans. And
No, that high? 36?
maybe a little bit less, but there are a lot of wealthy people here, and wealthy people vote Republican because of
I think it's like 20%.
That's just the way it's always
I
been.
think it's like 20% Republican.
maybe.
But then you have the independents too. There's a lot of independent people here.
But I'll tell you what, as this election showed us, a lot of people, they keep their head down. They don't say anything. When people scream about Trump, they just go and they voted for Trump. They voted Republican, but they never said a word online. They maybe even lied to pollsters, because they didn't want anyone to know.
I
they
know
don't want
many
the backlash.
cases that happened. That
Yeah,
they
so
say.
it's a real so all you people in Soma that if that new president walks in doesn't have the lawn sign,
It's a tough crowd out there.
Maybe they're MAGA. Maybe they're MAGA.
I don't know. It's a tough crowd out here. Like, it's a tough public.
But I'm a registered Democrat, just so people don't start throwing eggs at my house. But
I have friends from all things.
But I'm not a crazy off the charts winger, right or left. I don't get it. I vote for. Historically, I've tried to vote for the best person. If somebody says to me, what's the said to me? I've never met a Republican before. They actually said it to me once. I was like,
here?
Yeah,
they probably did, and they didn't know.
Woman's like 60 years old. I'm like, that is nonsense, lady. But
I have met several.
But people think in those terms because they think it's, I don't know, they just think it's progressive. I don't know what's going on.
I have friends in here in Maplewood and South Orange that are Democrat, Republican, Independent, even Libertarian.
Yes, and you know what they all did? They all voted for Jeff Bennett. They all voted for Jeff Bennett.
Many of them did.
Yes, many of them did.
Many
because,
of them
it was a
did.
heck of a tough election. And I know Jeff doesn't really want to talk about the process itself getting elected because it was brutal and it was crazy. So we're going to talk about what Jeff plans to do as the newest member of the Board of Ed, along with Kapaya and Deirdre Brown. And we're looking forward to bigger and better and stronger and faster. And anything else that I could add to that? Any other description to describe?
No, the other people that ran are really quiet. I have not seen them. I think Arun probably posted something about thanking. I did read that.
Arun did,
Arun is the only person that I did see that he posted, like, thank you, thanking all.
No, Bethany actually thanked people for voting for her, but she kind of went after the Village Green a little bit.
She did?
Yeah, she did. She said something about how the Village Green didn't put her something she had sent to them on the front page. She was mad it wasn't front page news. It was like inside an article or something. She got all like.
And what was it that she wanted?
I don't know. I guess like it was her letter of defeat or whatever it was.
Oh, this was her letter after the election.
Yeah. She's a little mad at Village Green. So,
I didn't read it.
Yeah,
I did read Arun, and it was really nice. He thanked
Yeah.
everybody that voted for him. Very nice letter.
I have no problem with Arun. I don't have a problem with anybody that runs for office. I really don't. But you know what, guys? You know what?
The problem is that when you run, you have to take the hit. You're going to hear good. You're going to hear the good. You're going to hear the bad, and you're going to hear the ugly. And yes, if you say something that some people don't like, they're going to say it.
No, and look, the incumbents had a tough spot to be in because people aren't happy with the current state of the system right now. Bethany ran with the incumbents. So you might have done everything right. You might have done everything perfectly, and it didn't matter. It just wasn't your time.
This election was very hard because there's so much going on in the school district that, you had to bring up your A game to convince people why you needed to be voted. And there was so much in and on drama and everything that... people are tired of that. I personally am tired of that. And I would like to see a Board of Ed that everybody gets along and happy face and do the best for our kids.
100%. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Jeff Bennett.
Boy, Israel, you are a handful.
Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to navigate the school system to meet your child's needs? Educational Equity Advisors is here to help. Led by Alyssa Malaspina, a board-certified special education advocate with over 25 years of experience, Educational Equity Advisors specializes in guiding parents through the complexities of school districts, including securing 504 plans, IEPs, and out-of-district placements when necessary. Educational Equity Advisors believes that income should never be a barrier to getting your child the education they deserve. That's why Educational Equity Advisors offers free consultations and sliding scale payment options to make their services accessible to all families. Discover how Educational Equity Advisors can empower you to be your child's strongest advocate. Visit Educational Equity Advisors today and take the first step toward educational equity for your family. For more information, please check out educationalequityadvisors.com. Again, that's educationalequityadvisors.com. And we're back. The Soma Talks podcast. I'm Lee Navin, Ileana Castillo, and we have special guest Jeff Bennett with us. Jeff.
Yay, Ben!
It is awesome to see you. Congratulations.
Oh, I just said Ben. Sorry. Jeff
Bennett.
Bennett. I would think about Bennett.
I've been called worse.
The great Jeff Bennett. The great
Jeff Bennett.
So Jeff, how does it feel? That was a tough race, and you won, and that's got to be a great feeling. It's got to be a wonderful feeling for you.
Oh, it feels great. It feels great. I'm ready to join the board in January. I'm looking forward to that, and start to make reforms for this district to go to the next level. And Wednesday, like the morning after the election, was the first morning in like 3 months I got to really relax. So that was a good feeling.
Yeah, you got 3 months to relax. That's true.
I don't know. No knocking on doors. No having to send out, taking phone calls or whatnot, or begging people to vote. By the way, before we get into what you're going to do on the Board of Ed, for young families, it's funny. We've met a lot of young families over the since we started this podcast with young kids, and they're getting very interested in the Board of Ed because it's new to them. And some have really taken an interest in perhaps someday running for the Board of Ed because they love hearing what you had to say. And so, any recommendations for young families that might want to get involved in politics, want to get involved in volunteer work here in the community? Anything, recommendations, suggestions you might have for them?
Don't do it.
Well, for for me, actually, it just started with like learning a lot about the school district, following discussions online. Back when I started in 2012, it was Maplewood Online. Read the Village Green, read archives of the Village Green, read books about education. Try to talk with as many of other South Orange Maplewood people as you can. Like, this is your chance to learn.
Sounds like a job almost, like when you hear it.
When I ran the first time, social media was not as big. Like we did have a Facebook page, but there was no effort to get pictures of ourselves doing things at coffees, doing door-to-door knocking, or being at public events and posting those pictures. That stuff didn't matter. There were also not as many questionnaires back then. Like now, we had the CPAC questionnaire, the Soma Justice questionnaire, questions from the Village Green, questions from arts organizations, questions
Who was
from
questioning you guys back then?
the Jersey Bee, just the Village Green.
Oh, just the Village Green. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so you didn't have to write as much back then.
Right, now you got Ileana Castillo and
I didn't even ask them questions.
We still had 3 debates even years ago, which I think is a good thing. Like in other large districts that I follow, they have 1 debate, and to me that wouldn't be enough. So I think actually the fact that I think our elections are too intense and too expensive. I wish they'd calm down a bit. But I think what other suburban districts have, where it's just calmness and no issue discussion, and candidates just kind of run on their careers or their volunteer experience or how many kids they have, that's not good either, because voters can't find out where candidates stand.
A lot of people have a problem, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Why is when they ask you a question, it's only 1 minute response? A lot of people were
debates.
Yeah, a lot of people. I went to 2 debates. I went to the first and the third one, and I could hear people around me. They were so frustrated because when one of the candidates was making a very good argument, you gotta cut it in half, and they're like, "I want to keep hearing more." Do you think that the minutes should change 2 minutes, maybe 2.5? Because you, for example, you made really good ballots. Ideas, for example, how to cut some things for the budget, and you were like, I'll save money here and here, and I wanted to hear more about that, but then you were cut, and I could see in your face how frustrated you were, like he was looking like, I didn't even finish my thought. What's your thought about that?
I'd prefer at least 90 seconds for an answer, or 2 minutes would be ideal. But I think the organizers of the debates are just trying to do their best they can, and they're trying to balance a breadth of questions, having questions on enough topics with giving candidates enough time to answer. And
Plus, you had 7 candidates too.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of repetitive questions. If you see all 3 debates, there was a lot of questions that were very similar that I was like, you see, they could have
Yeah, I think it was the biggest candidate field since 2018. So
Yeah. Question about you were on the board. You ran last year with Anthony Masaki. Anthony, I apologize. I'm never gonna get that last name right, and it's in my head. Masaki.
He goes by Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Now, how did you, Bimmel and Deirdre? How did the 3 of you kind of form an alliance, I guess, so to speak?
We asked him that question. We want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I met Bimmel last year at a coffee. And Bimmel, we had a huge impression on me because he was just surrounded by people. He was Mr. Charisma. Everyone wanted to talk to him.
He is.
And I could see
He
that
has
actually.
that good aura, Capadia.
Yeah.
He does.
He's charismatic. He's got great interpersonal skills. And that was one reason I wanted to run with him. I didn't meet Deirdre till this summer, but I had met her husband and daughter last year too.
Right.
And, I could tell these people were going to be strong candidates. They were going to work hard. They had great ideas. We had similar outlooks. And we would all complement each other.
Yeah, his daughter was a student rep, I believe, too, which Deirdre told us that
I met her daughter.
She
She's
kind of
really
followed in
nice.
her daughter's footsteps a little bit, which I think is fascinating. But,
in 2023, I admit I considered running, but I didn't want to be a singleton candidate. What Paul Stephen did this year, I have a lot of respect for him for that.
Yeah, he did one solo.
Shannon Cottle, Caitlin Whitletter, and Will Rodriguez have done. I respect that too, but I wouldn't want to be a singleton candidate. And it's not just
Is it a bad idea to run solo when you see that other people are running with other candidates, like a slate?
I think it's a lot better to have at least
to go
one
solo?
running mate, but ideally 2. It's not just you would save money, on campaign paraphernalia.
Yeah.
It's just emotionally hard to run. Even if it's a nice campaign, it's a lot of intensity. You have to make a lot of decisions. You have to meet a lot of people. You have to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And it's just emotionally easier to do that. If you have running mates, you do it together. You become friends.
But there is compromise in that, you might have singly, you could say, okay, I believe in this, this, and this, and this, and this is what I'm going to run on. I guess with the three of you, you might say, hey, I believe in this. And Deirdre might say, well, I'm kind of a little bit over here on that issue. So which is good, I guess,
Yeah.
because once you get elected, because then it's all about compromise.
But you know that at the end of the day, once they're at the board, they're all independent thinkers. It's not like they're all three going to have the same ideas. Like
Yeah.
he could vote for something, but Kapati could say, no, I'm not voting for that.
Like, the board has its factions, and like you can
Yeah.
kind of talk about it having like two main factions, but really it has like 9 factions because
Yeah,
like
there's
each
9
board
people.
member is independent up there, and on the divided votes, you can find people who are running mates with each other, like of the same faction, so to speak, like voting differently. So
Yeah.
it's not like we have like it's not like Congress where you could snap the whip and like everyone's got to vote together.
Yeah.
It's not like a parliamentary system.
Right, yeah. So moving forward.
No. Before, what are you going to ask him?
Oh, I had a.
Is it about the board?
Well, I'm not going to tell you. I don't want you to know the question because you'll ask it instead.
Yeah, it's good.
So let's hear what your question
No.
is.
My question is because everybody knows that this board election was very tense. People are very tense. Even though you guys win, people are still tense because we don't know where this is going to go. Like, we're hoping for the best. You guys are great candidates, put out great ideas. I mean, you guys had like 8,000 votes. Like, you guys were like 2,000 or 3,000 votes above the other candidate.
9,000.
Oh, 9,000. I'm sorry. That 9,000. Oh, wow.
That's a lot. That's all. By the way, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of. That's a
But
lot
it was
of
not the
people.
record. 4 years ago, Susan Bergen, Courtney Wingfield, and Kamal Zubieta got more than that. They had like over 11,000 votes.
Oh, 11,000? Oh, okay. So you got your 9,000. I know probably Brown got 9,000. I think Capadilla probably was close to 9,000.
Yeah, he had like
So
8,200.
everybody's tense. You can tell that everybody's tense and everything. And what are you hoping to tell those parents that are tense? Because we're tired of everything that's going on, plus all the drama. We were talking about that with Capati and Brown. Like we got to tone it down with the drama. What do you say to those parents?
Well, I think the community sent more than one message in this election. Like, I think they did send some specific policy messages in terms of having like a more collaborative integration plan
Yeah.
and better busing and being more proactive with the budget. But I think they did get a message based on what I said that they don't want the board like having like so much conflict. Like,
I think they want fresh
like,
start. Yeah, a fresh
They don't
board.
want drama on the board, so to speak, or with the administration. And I think we are like kind of in that direction. Like, I'll give like, Kari and Arun, like in the board leadership this year credit. Like, this year's board meetings have been very calm.
Yeah.
I don't think they passed like
Have
any.
they really been calm?
I think been calm except for like budget season
Okay.
and the non-renewal of Burnside. But I think in terms of there haven't been like that many like late night arguments, and it's been better than it was like the previous several years. I think that we have Jason Bing, we have a new superintendent.
Yes,
I
a
think
lot
that,
of people have hope with that.
Yeah, I think that like he wants to have like a district that gets the basics right, and like he's going to be growing into the role.
Have
of
you met
course.
with him?
No, I haven't met him
Not
yet.
yet.
So like we have like that going for us right now.
Okay.
And I think the board, like the board member, I can't speak for other board members, just for myself.
Yeah.
But like I know, like we want to have a more harmonious board,
As you should.
and like I'm not like saying we're going to be unanimous on everything in the next 12 months. We
Hey.
shouldn't be, but
Little gossip. Has Arun, Bethany, or Kwawi have reached out to you to congratulate you?
yes, they have.
Oh, they have?
Yes, and we also
Oh.
heard like very quickly from Liz, Shayna, and Will Meyer too.
Oh,
So-
okay, that's good. Well, yeah, you're gonna work with them.
You know what? I mean, this is every year there's elections, so chance stands a reason someone might be serving with you next year. I mean, so
Yeah, they
you
might
would hope-
run-
you hope
they
at the
might
end of
run
the day,
again.
It's like the best man won this time. Him and
I have a feeling-
they'll be the best man.
I have a feeling two of those candidates going to run again. I can tell you right now. I think Paul Stefan is going to run again, and I think Bethany Joseph is going to run again. I could put money on
That's a
him.
good question,
Well,
actually.
I think Kali might run again too. Like,
Who?
Kali Telesford might run again. He's,
Oh, Arun?
yeah,
Oh.
Kali Telesford.
Oh, who's that?
Telesford.
He's young. He's like in his early 40s.
Oh, Kwawi. Oh, yeah,
he's
yeah.
got
I
like
got him.
18 years in the district ahead of him. I think
Yeah.
he'll run again.
Oh, you think he might? Oh, I didn't thought about that one.
I'm just
You-
speculating.
That's a good question, actually. So you ran originally. You won your first time. You lost your second time. You won your third time. Kind of like Donald Trump, by the way. But but did you ever when you were off the board after the first time, were you like, I'm never doing that again, or were you kind of like, I'd like to do it again someday? Like,
No, I did want to do it again. So
Yeah. So
when
You
I-
do like it. You really do
So
like
it was
it.
always
not,
in your wheelhouse.
not continuously. Like when I stepped down from the Board of Ed in December 2015, I said I'd like to do this again in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm 1 year early. It's 9 years later. And,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I've-
Yeah.
What do you like
but
about
I
doing
didn't.
this?
But like there were times when everything in our district seemed to be going well.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yeah.
late 2010s, and
Right.
it didn't occur to me to follow the board then very closely. Like it didn't occur to me to be a candidate. Like had kind of a lull in my interest.
Yeah.
I started to follow the board again more closely around like 2021, 2022 when we adopted an integration plan, which didn't, I think, had certain flaws in it, and that should have certain differences. Like that's when I started to follow the board again, and then
Got you.
Why
Right.
do you like to do this so much? Because you seem to really like this. Do you like making decisions for kids, or you just like the
why are you podcasting? Why are you active on Facebook?
That's
Like-
true too.
Like sometimes you can't really explain why you're
Why?
interested in something. Why do some
It's a
people
calling,
love
right?
art? Why do some people love playing the guitar or hiking or skiing?
Yeah.
Or
That's a good-
I do this to bother Lee.
yeah. So like
At all hours of the night too, by the way.
I
Yeah.
just am very, very interested in public education, and
Yeah.
I want to see our community's public education system be as good as it can be. I'm on the board again to make education better, like to help teachers, to help like parents, but like in terms of like the interest itself, like
Yeah.
it just is.
I tell you the difference between
like
Jeff.
I
though,
could I could intellectualize it, like
Yeah, yeah.
like
when
education's
Jeff
like
does something, you read online, people like they refer you words to describe you brilliant. That's been a
Yes,
very
that's
popular.
been a- yes,
no one
correct.
has called us brilliant in the podcasting
No,
game. So,
no.
but
like education's where we like our
I've
society
been called a troll.
like, public education's where our society like attempts to offer equality of opportunity.
Yeah.
Our education's like where we try to instill like good citizenship
Yeah.
in kids.
Right.
It's where we try to give kids like the tools to have a successful career, and a good life, and it's incredibly important. And I just happen to be very interested in that and
Brilliant.
improving the systems as best I can.
So 1 year from now, maybe just very kind of in the top of your head, what would you like? What was the first thing you'd like to get accomplished? That's maybe you've been looking at and go, man, why can't they get this right? Is there something that's the top of your list of?
That should be like ASAP attention.
Well, board members take their seats in January, and that's the start of budget season. So that's probably the first controversial thing we're going to deal with. And I think the next budget season will be stressful for the district. Because we're going to have increases for healthcare costs, the teacher contract, electricity, even transportation. And I expect our state aid increase to be small. And some people say it actually might even be cut. So I think next year's budget is going to be tough.
And that's in January's budget season.
It starts in January.
And
It
that's
doesn't-
when your first day on. And
Yeah, like
So that's like it's like the World Series at the beginning of the season.
it starts at like the end of January, and like it goes through like May. There are
Right.
many budget
Oh,
votes the board
okay.
makes, and we're going to have to deal with that. Hopefully, there won't be any cuts, or the cuts will be very light. I think we do have to make some tweaks to the III, the integration plan. And the III has more than two problems, but they're kind of problems of placement and problems of transportation. And I think we can look at the problems of transportation first before placement because they're a little bit less complex, I think. And I think there's a better chance of finding a consensus on them.
On transportation.
Yeah, like
okay. So
like bus routes. So the bus routes aren't longer than 40 minutes or something.
okay.
So buses have a better chance of being reliably on time next year.
Right. Okay. So that's the goal number one. So the bus is taking 45 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe cut it down to half an hour. That type of thinking.
Yeah, something we'd like to do is the busing problems. I think have more than one problem, or more than one cause. There's one cause is that we don't have enough buses. I think for the elementary school routes.
Okay.
But another cause is that we have a difficult distribution of students being bused to each school. Like instead of a compact group of students who just get picked up and then bused 2 miles.
Right.
There's a diffuse cloud of students around each school, and sometimes that cloud's a bit too diffuse, meaning they're isolated placements. When there just might be 2 kids in a neighborhood going to a particular school.
Yeah.
I would want us not to have isolated placements in the future, and I'm hoping I can't speak for anyone
When you
else.
say isolated, meaning one student from the neighborhood going to one specific school?
Yeah, that could happen literally. So I've been
Right.
told
It's already happening. I've seen
It does
parents
look-
complaining about that.
it does happen. I was told that there's just one child from Gulf Island who goes to Marshall, one child who goes to South Mountain. I think there's one child in Newstead who goes to Maplewood Middle School.
Yeah.
And if I'm not exactly correct
Right.
about those, like,
Yeah.
like
You'll figure it
the
out
point
more
is
when you're in the
correct.
board. You'll see more detail. Yeah.
Yeah, like there are very few kids from the Marshall area who go to Clinton, for instance. And I would want us to avoid these isolated placements in the future because they're not good socially for the kids
Sure.
or the parents, and they're not good for our transportation system. And I would hope that we can address that more quickly. Also for the III, I'd like to have a better survey of parents, like in terms of like what they need, like, who wants an early start school, who wants a late start school, who's neutral.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Are there people who don't live close to any elementary school, and for them getting a bus would be a good thing? Like we need to know that kind of thing, like how kids are getting to school as well, like problems with early care and aftercare and free lunch.
I will tell you this as a parent.
And it's not just about the III. We're not the
No,
board of the III. Like
this is
we're the
about
board of
the
education.
opening earlier or later. As a parent, a lot of, and I've heard this from a lot of parents, like if a school starts at 8:15 and a parent's got to be at work at 7:30, there's no way that they could drop their kid at school because the doors are closed. And that was a problem. And some would say like, oh, why can't they do like a morning daycare that some school have it that you could drop them off at 7:45 and they'll be at the cafeteria doing homework or having breakfast until it's time. That would be something interesting to. Well, I'm sure in your poll you probably would figure that out. And that I thought that was a good idea because in the school district I work, they do that. They come a little early, but they're all in the cafeteria, and then they go back to their class. Is there something you could consider?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's something we have to ask about. Like my wife and I both work in person, and we have our problems with like the kids in the morning too. Like we do have early care at our schools. It's kind of
The Y? Is that the Y?
yeah,
one?
it's kind of expensive. Like for 5 days a week, it's $3,000 a child. But we do have
per
it.
year.
Yeah, per year.
Yeah, it is money.
But that is something we have to consider. Like there are some people who might not need very much early care per day, and for them, if they got a bus, they might not need to pay for early care, and for them, it would be a very good thing. Like, and our III, since it assigns kids randomly to their nearest school or a non-neighborhood school, it doesn't take those different needs into account, and I think it should. But like we're not just the board of the III, of course. Like I want also to like indicate that like we know we have to follow the Fergus recommendations. Like we need to make progress on that. We need to look at our vacancies in special ed. As when I last checked about 2 weeks ago, we still had 15 vacancies in special education.
And these are teachers, instructors,
teachers, and also like counselors.
counselors. Okay, and there's 15 vacancies. Is there?
Yeah, not just teachers, but various.
Is
staff
that
members.
just because of a budget shortfall? And why is
No, the budget lines are available. We haven't been able to hire.
recruit the right people?
Yeah, we had vacancies in the top of the special education department until like the end of September.
Yeah.
That's when our new assistant superintendent of special services started. So at least like we now have like a fully staffed administrative level for special education, but we still have like 15 teachers and other special ed staff like missing.
Jeff, I have a
As
question.
when I last checked 2 weeks ago.
Jeff,
Okay.
do you agree? You mentioned earlier about there's not enough bus for the busing. Do you remember when the Board of Ed sold all those buses? Was that a mistake?
I think it was. I think it deprived us of control.
Do you remember how many buses we had available at that time? You remember
It
that
was-
when I think it was during COVID that they sold them all.
I think it was 10 or 11. Like, I think our catalytic converters had been stolen, and like some buses were also damaged in a flood. So we had bad luck. But
Yeah.
the selling of the buses also makes it harder for us to do field trips in a cost-effective way.
Yeah, I am.
Like, about a year ago, I spent time calling other large districts like West Orange, Milburn, Westfield, and asking them about busing. And it seemed like unusual to have a district that buses as many kids as we have to be 100% outsourced. Like most big districts have like a hybrid of like outsourced and in-house.
Their own buses.
Um,
Right. Yeah. So perhaps there'll be more buses bought, Ileana.
How many do they have?
Or rented,
or
Oh,
rent.
they're
do think-
renting right now?
Yeah, I do think we just simply need more bus routes for
Yeah.
elementary schools. But I'm not. I'm a little. It'd be nice to own buses again. Although I don't know like how feasible it is in terms of costs. Like that would be an administrative decision.
Yeah. So Ileana, you know a guy that sells buses? 'Cause,
No.
you got
I
maybe
did not.
maybe an opportunity here
Yeah,
to
I
Lisa.
did not.
To Lisa. So Jeff, you're going to have the new board. We got the budget, bus and transportation issues. Is there anything that else is sitting at the top of your list of we're we're going to work on that. That's going to be at the top of my agenda.
Special ed,
I did
the three
mention that.
eyes.
So, we do have to work on our facilities. Like, it's almost
Oh,
time
yeah, that's
where we
another
start a new
one.
long-range facilities plan. Like, the long-range facilities plan of 2019 was so big. It was $160 million that, like, I think some people started to think that, like, it was the long-range facilities plan. It's really just a long-range facilities plan. So that's something that, the Board of Ed and the administration are going to work on. We don't need to do any expansion now. Like, we're under-enrolled for the footprint we have.
Okay.
Really?
So, for this newest long-range facilities plan, I think we could work on qualitative improvement. And something that's definitely going to be part of that is the stages. I know they're already starting to work on that. Like, the stages, unfortunately, were overlooked.
Columbia High School, there, I know it's down
Definitely,
to the count right
but
now.
like the other schools too, like the stages were overlooked in like previous long-range
I
facilities
know
plans.
that's been killing
So
a lot
that'll
of
be part
parents.
of
The
that.
stage thing.
And also athletics too. Not everybody is for a turf
Are you going to do
field.
the pool?
No pool. But if someone were to donate money, like to cover half the cost, then I would,
Oh, so you're in
wanna-
agreement that you would like to renew the pool in Columbia High
If
School?
someone wants to donate $5 million to us, then
At $5 million?
yeah,
Is the footprint still there in theory where they could?
I think in theory they could build it in a parking lot.
Okay, yeah. So it's
Although-
but $5 million.
Yeah, so Lee's going to donate the $5 million for the Columbia pool.
Oh yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But like sports fields will also be part of the next long-range facilities plan, I expect, and that'll include like turfing, Ritzer. But we're going to do it in
Oh,
as
that's
sensitive
another
a
one.
way as possible.
Right. Also, turf is back on the in the discussion, I guess you might call it a little bit. Right. That was something. Right. My understanding was turf was that was Nancy Adams out of there, but that's more township than school, I guess.
It depends which property, because there's property that belongs to the township, other properties belong
Gotcha.
to the school district.
Right? Gotcha. Okay, so that's a separate.
Yeah, they're-
a separate situation. So,
But most of the agenda is set by the administration, and it's like things we have to do, like to fulfill state mandates, and things that are also incredibly important too.
right.
You know what? We can talk about that in a new podcast. Bring people about the turf thing so they can talk about it. I know a couple of people. Hey, that's a good one. Thanks, Bennett.
100. Oh, yeah. Okay, we can do that. So Jeff, we've had on Rocio Lopez on the show.
Yeah.
She of course is the
Have you talked to her?
teachers union.
Yes, I have.
Soma is still in negotiations, I guess. It's an impasse. What are your thoughts
What's
on
your
that,
thought, yeah.
that whole situation?
Well, I'm not yet a member of the board, so I don't have any confidential information. All I know is what I've been able to
What we know,
read
basically.
in the Village Green and hear in public speaks. And
But do you
I
think they
they're-
have delayed too much? Do you think it should have been resolved already?
About half of school districts do manage to sign a new contract before the expiration of the old one.
Okay.
But then again, it's not unusual for a contract to expire and for
Yeah.
I hope they are able to work out something soon.
Do you feel for the teacher? You really? How do you
Yeah.
feel about the teachers? Like it seems
No,
like Lee said the other day, the morale is really down.
Probably just because of the contract, amongst other things. I'm sure a signed
Well,
contract.
they
would
feel
improve
like they're
morale.
ignored. I mean, Rocio Lopez have said like some teachers feel like they're ignored, that the board is not hearing them.
So like we have to have good raises for our teachers too, keep up with other districts and to do the right thing by our teachers. But I'm not going to say exactly how teachers feel because I'm not a teacher. I
Yeah.
can't speak for anyone. But I think also teachers want to see that the school district is doing well.
Correct,
They
of
want to see that
course.
kids are being well educated. They don't want to see anyone slip through the cracks. And I think the fact that the district's had a very rocky 4 or 5 years, and that we have a very badly understaffed special education department. I think it makes teachers unhappy to see that kids are not.
I really think you guys need to do like a special
Being
committee
educated
for
as
the
well as
special
possible.
ed. The special ed, that's
Special
chaos.
education.
Well, the Board of Ed did set up a permanent committee
Is
for
it
special
going
education.
right now, the special ed?
Yeah,
Because a lot of people feel like they don't do much, the special ed committee. I've seen the complaints a lot online. I don't know what's going on there.
Well, it's pretty new. I think it was only set up 2 months ago, and it consists of Will Meyer, Liz Callahan, and Caitlin Whitletter. And
I'm going to send a shoot at Caitlin, see what's going on there.
it hasn't done anything transformative yet, but
Yeah.
it does elevate the importance of
But it's a process
special ed
of,
even
It's a
more.
process.
of learning and then developing and growing and whatnot. The Yeah, I mean, yeah. You mentioned earlier, I've talked to some teachers. I'm friendly with quite a few teachers. And morale is definitely low. I mean, there's some teachers that have said to me confidentially, Livingston or Milburn, it seems to be better opportunity there. But
Even Elizabeth, my school district.
yeah, but the
I've seen a couple of teachers from Soma go over there.
But ultimately, I think, and I've also said that teachers say, but here parents are so involved, invested in their children.
Yes.
And that's one thing, that's a great thing about this community. Maybe that's what makes being on the board a little bit more difficult in that, you're certainly under a microscope of people that are paying a lot of attention to you. So I would imagine that's going to be a challenge too.
Yeah, actually, could I bring up something you asked a few minutes ago about
Sure.
something for the board to work on next year?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Something I think the board should work on is the fact that, we have had very significant enrollment loss. And, simultaneously, we've had a huge expansion of our classrooms. So we do need to have probably a long conversation about how we're going to adapt to enrollment loss. Our enrollment is 500 students below what it was in its peak in 2019. And we do have 50 more classrooms. So what are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
And I did bring that up on the campaign. That is something for us to address.
Yeah. So the
And that's something I don't really think
Is
there'll
it
be.
because people put their children in private
Yeah,
school
yeah,
or
yeah,
moving
yeah,
out?
because-
Why the low? Why did it come down?
So I don't think there's been a big increase in the number of kids in private school. I think it's because of demographic changes, just fewer kids being born.
Interesting. All right, but so even that's funny. It has nothing to do with the school board. But when they were putting up all the apartments in South Orange and Maple, the argument was you're going to crowd the schools. You're going to crowd the schools. It's not going to work. Now you got all these apartments up, but the schools aren't overcrowded. So that's
No, not even close.
Yeah.
So for last year, our K-12 enrollment was only 6,600,
Yeah.
and it peaked at 7,100. So for development in town, the towns could even encourage 3 or 4 bedroom apartments now,
Yeah.
expecting them to have kids in them because we can accommodate a lot more kids in the district.
interesting. All right, so Sheena, that's because I think she argued that it wasn't going to increase the.
She was right.
yeah,
There are very few kids in those apartments.
Yeah.
And if I'm on the data committee, that's something I'd want to track. But we can accommodate more students by a lot.
Excellent. Now I know the Marshall School just has an addition that they so it was a big addition and the school's. It looks wonderful. I live right by Marshall, so I see it all the time. But so no plans for any more. We don't need to do any more of those additions to the elementary schools. Or
Now, if the administration recommended an addition for the high school or the middle school, I'd very, very likely to support it because I want to trust the administration on that.
Sure.
But I would be surprised because of.
So right now it's just a matter of fixing what's there, the bones that
So-
are currently in place, and
So yeah, the enrollment has already fallen a lot in the middle schools and the elementary schools, and those smaller cohorts are about to reach the high school.
Yeah.
So I would be shocked if they say they
All
need
right.
more
All right.
classrooms.
That's good though. That's a good situation, Ileana. So,
I
so
agree.
if you want to have more children, there's plenty of room
No
in the,
more children.
in
No
the
more
school system.
children.
Yep. So, all right, Ileana, I guess we should call it a day, right?
Yeah, thank you again.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you so much for
Wishing
coming
you all
in.
the best.
Yes.
So just remember, nothing I said represents anyone else. It's just me.
That's-
And
Oh yeah.
I,
Yes, the views, points, and opinions will help.
and
the,
I'm not
Jeff is
officially a
all
board
Jeff
member yet.
Bennett.
Yeah,
So
no.
If he does something wrong, it has nothing to do with us.
That's right.
Just
No,
kidding.
this was all Jeff.
Yeah.
And Jeff, we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank
You
you.
have-
as a board member, I'm not going to do any more podcasts. So
we understand.
it's a 3-year hiatus. So.
Dude, I don't blame you.
No,
You
I don't
know,
blame
yeah,
you.
if I have to never do another podcast, I would maybe I'll run for the board of ed, so I don't have to do another podcast. What do you think of that? So, all right,
That's
so
funny.
ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night. The Summer Talks podcast. Until we meet again, have a great night. Thank you.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the Soma Talk podcast. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The Soma Talk podcast name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.